That's music of composer Florent Schmidt from his score for Antony and Cleopatra, the Shakespeare play. The music not often heard, the play not often presented. But you'll get an opportunity to see and hear Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra with the incidental music by Florent Schmidt this Friday and Saturday as the Virginia Arts Festival presents Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra as originally produced by the famed Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London. Joanne Folletta will conduct the Virginia Symphony in music of Florent Schmidt. The director of this production is Bill Barclay, and we had an opportunity to talk with him earlier this week. Here is a portion of that discussion. Theatergoer about his 5 favorite Shakespeare plays, and I'm suspecting Antony and Cleopatra may not show up in that list. Is there a reason for that?
It's a very difficult play to produce. It requires an enormous company of actors. There are offstage sea battles, the plots of which are slightly difficult to follow. And it's about mature love and strife between 2 middle-aged people who are relics of history. So it's a complicated tragedy. The famous poetry that's in it is gorgeous, but it's not going to be the most quotable play Shakespeare wrote. Mm-hmm. It is a very popular play by Shakespeare, but amidst things like Midsummer Night's Dream and Macbeth, it's not going to be counted upon to be in the top 5 of bestsellers. I think it is in the top 10, so if anything, it may be only overshadowed by Shakespeare's other greatness elsewhere.
And there's a lot of ambiguity in this play also, isn't there?
There is some ambiguity because we're not quite sure whether Antony made the right decision in being with Cleopatra. Emotionally, there's very little ambiguity because we believe that love is love and we believe that these 2 people love each other. But the politics, the history, the sort of military battles that happen around it, the disruption to the political world order that their love affair represents, pulls against the inevitability of their love for each other and creates a quandary for the audience. At what cost true love?
It's been said that Cleopatra is hard to get a focus on, hard to get a fix on as to her character. Does that still apply in this day and age?
Well, that's an interesting question because so often we're accustomed to women in plays and particularly in movies to be mothers and girlfriends and wives and neighbors and best friends. They are traditionally stereotyped to be the accessories of men. And that is a reality of hundreds and hundreds of years of patriarchal storytelling. Cleopatra is an entirely unique, idiosyncratic woman of power. She has no archetype but herself. So it's an incredibly empowering role for women because of her uniqueness and because of her centrality in the story. It's doubly impressive because this role was originally to be played by a young boy, Shakespeare's time. And oftentimes when he has boys playing women, unless he had a really brilliant younger male actor to pull off the flights of fancy he wanted to write for, he will underwrite those parts so that he doesn't put too much of a burden on the virtuosity of a very young and experienced actor. In this case, he clearly had an actor who could play it and who would be able to perform with wit, with cleverness, with humor, and also with great vulnerability and sort of titanic emotional sweeps. So we have to be grateful that when he imagined writing this piece, he had someone in mind who could do all of that heavy lifting. And as a result, he dared himself clearly to create a character that matched the scale of her historical record, which is beguiling, masterly strategic, confident in her own military, completely secure as head of state, and absolutely intellectually brilliant.
So a powerful and seductive woman.
Completely.
And let me ask you about the music as another actor. Actually, are there things that the director has to do to accommodate the music in this production?
Oh, massively. The music that we have here are 2 concert suites, 6 movements in total. Each movement is about 10 to 15 minutes. And they were extracted from a 6-hour production of Antony and Cleopatra done at the Paris Opera in 1920. This, by all accounts, would have been a massive undertaking with huge sea battles and lots of set pieces for movements and fights with orchestra. Now, we have no record of the original incidental score. All we have are the 6 movements that Schmidt pulled together about 4 or 5 months after the production closed in order to retain some of his original material to be played by orchestras around the world for all posterity. So what I've done is to try to pull apart those suite movements and recreate an incidental score that could go against and along with dialogue in certain places in the score, reassigning the music to certain places that would allow us to tell a very filleted version of the story using a heavily pruned edition of Shakespeare's play, getting to the best bits of the poetry, retaining some of my favorite parts of the play that link my heart to this narrative that Shakespeare constructed, and focusing mainly on just 3 characters, Antony, Cleopatra, and Enobarbus, who's Antony's right-hand military man and best friend. So yes, in doing that, the music is our central guide to figuring out what is possible to say, where are the gaps, where we have potential to do a scene or show a little bit of movement, and what chunks of the music are whimsical and what are cosmic flights of fancy, what are battle-related, and what parts of the music can be used to extract the pathos that is inherent within a full-bodied 3-hour version of the play, but in this condensed funnel of 2 40-minute halves.
Bill Barclay, the director of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, the production presented by the Virginia Arts Festival this Friday and Saturday, with Joanne Falletta conducting the Virginia Symphony in the incidental score by Florence Schmidt. Friday, 8 p.m. at the Ferguson Center in Newport News. Saturday, 8 p.m. at Chrysler Hall in Norfolk. For your tickets, the number is 282-2822, 282-2822, or you can go online to vafest.org.